This horror story contains intense and disturbing theme. Viewer discretion is advised. I've always believed that every new beginning carries a trace of the old one. Something invisible you drag along without meaning to. When my family moved to the countryside last autumn, I didn't think much of it. My father had finally retired after 30 years in London, and my mother wanted somewhere quieter. My sister Chloe and I didn't argue. After all, who could resist the idea of a peaceful old cottage in a small English village surrounded by open fields, misty mornings, and stone fences that looked like they belonged in a painting? The house itself was beautiful in that worn storybook kind of way. Ivy crawled up the sides, and the windows had thick, uneven glass that slightly distorted your reflection. It stood at the edge of a small village called Bransfield. Nothing fancy, just a post office, 2 pubs, and a church with a bell that rang every evening at 6. For the first few days, everything felt almost cinematic. My mother spent her days redecorating. My father worked in the garden, and Chloe and I set up our rooms upstairs. Hers was the larger one, with 2 windows overlooking the fields. Mine was at the back of the house, a bit smaller but cozy, facing the woods. But small things started to feel off. It began with the sounds, not the creaks or groans you expect from an old house. Those I could handle. This was different. It was the way the air seemed to carry faint whispers when you were alone. You'd turn off the lights and swear someone had just spoken from the hall. The whispers weren't words exactly, just a low, almost conversational hum of someone murmuring too quietly to understand. The first time I noticed it, I laughed it off. The second time, I closed my book and listened for 5 whole minutes, waiting for it to happen again. It didn't. But that's when I realized something was wrong, not with the house, but with me. I'd begun to expect it. A week later, Chloe's phone rang. She was in the kitchen, scrolling through her messages, when it buzzed on the counter. She looked at the screen and frowned. "No number," she said, showing it to me. "Private caller," she answered. "Hello?" No response. "Who is this?" Still nothing. After about 10 seconds, she hung up. We joked about it. Probably a telemarketer, maybe a glitch. But when it happened again the next evening, I started to notice her face change. She wasn't laughing anymore. She looked tense, her knuckles pale against the phone. Again, the same. No one spoke. Just faint static, like the sound of air moving through a tunnel. Then came the 3rd call. It was around midnight. I was in my room reading when I heard Chloe's phone vibrating across the hall. I expected her to ignore it, but she didn't. She answered, and this time I heard her speak louder. "Who is this? Stop calling me." There was a pause. Then she said something that froze my blood. She whispered, "Hello." "Wait, who's crying?" I stepped into the hall. Her door was half open, and she was standing by the window, clutching her phone. I could see her shoulders trembling. I asked what was going on, and she turned to me, pale as chalk. "It sounded like me," she said. "What?" "On the phone. It sounded like me." Crying, I didn't know what to say. I wanted to tell her she'd imagined it, but she was shaken so badly I couldn't bring myself to. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined a version of my sister trapped somewhere, crying, calling from another place that mirrored ours. The house felt different after that, like the walls had started listening. Days passed. The calls stopped for a while. and we convinced ourselves it was nothing serious. Chloe even deleted the unknown number logs, as if erasing them would make the memory go away. For a moment, things went back to normal, until that morning, I woke to the sound of the phone again, the same shrill vibration echoing through the hall. But this time, it wasn't Chloe's phone. It was mine. Unknown number. Half asleep, I picked it up. Hello? Nothing. Just soft breathing. Then, faintly, a voice. So quiet, I thought it was my mind playing tricks. Don't go upstairs. The voice sounded like Chloe's. I froze. I hung up, heart hammering in my chest. I immediately rushed to her room. Her door was slightly open. Inside, she was sitting on her bed, facing the corner. The curtains were drawn, even though it was bright outside. Chloe, I said. No answer. I took a step closer. That's when I saw her hand twitching, as if she was writing something in the air. Chloe, what's wrong? She turned her head slowly toward me, and her expression was blank, empty. She looked through me, not at me. Who were you talking to? I asked. Her lips parted just slightly. You called me, she said in a flat, emotionless voice. My stomach dropped. I backed away and ran downstairs. My mother was making tea. My father was outside, trimming the hedge. Everything looked so normal that it made the fear feel absurd. But when I told them, my mother's smile faltered. She's probably sleepwalking again, she said quickly, avoiding my eyes. Again. That word stuck with me. That evening, I sat with Chloe in her room, determined not to leave her alone. She seemed fine for most of it. Quiet, distant, but fine. Around 10 p.m., she dozed off. I was scrolling through my phone when I heard a faint vibration again. Her phone, on the nightstand, lit up. Unknown number. I felt a cold wave of dread. Against every instinct, I picked it up and answered. At first, silence, then a faint static hum, and then my own voice. Please, don't wake her up. She's not done yet. I dropped the phone. When I looked up, Chloe's eyes were open. Why did you answer it? She whispered. Her voice sounded hoarse, strained, almost like she hadn't used it in days. You shouldn't have, she said, and then she smiled, slowly, unnaturally. Her expression changed into something I can only describe as wrong. Not angry, not sad, just inhumanly aware. She stood up, walked to the corner of the room, and started mumbling. The words didn't make sense. Half-whispered, half-sung phrases that looped endlessly. I ran to get my parents. When we returned, she was still there, still muttering, her back to us. My father touched her shoulder, and she collapsed, just dropped to the floor, like a puppet with its strings cut. We called a doctor. They said it was exhaustion, maybe stress from the move. She stayed in bed for days after that. But she wasn't the same. Sometimes I'd hear her speaking softly to herself. Sometimes she'd stare at her phone, even when it wasn't ringing. And then, one night, I heard two phones ringing at once, hers and mine, both from the same unknown number. I didn't answer, neither did she. The next morning, her window was open, and she was gone. The police searched for weeks. They found no signs of a break-in, no footprints outside. Her phone was discovered in the woods, about a mile from the house, screen cracked, battery dead. The last call in her log was to my number at exactly 3:17 a.m. But here's the thing. I didn't get a call that night. Not on my phone, at least. 3 days later, I got an email from her account. No message, just an audio attachment. I almost didn't open it. When I did, I wish I hadn't. The recording was only 9 seconds long. It was breathing, hers unmistakably, then my own voice, faintly whispering, "She's still upstairs." The police traced the email, but it led nowhere. No IP, no origin. They said it was probably a glitch, some leftover file. But I know what I heard. I know my sister's voice. We left that house not long after. My parents refused to talk about it. Sometimes, I still dream of her, standing by the window, holding her phone, looking out at the fields. And sometimes, late at night, when my phone buzzes, I don't check it. But once, just once, I did. The screen lit up with a single message from an unknown number. It said, "I'm home now. Come upstairs." Another tale ends, but the night never sleeps. Join NightCreep Horror Stories for more whispers from the dark. Subscribe if you dare.